Welcome to the Livestream Studio, I should say. Well, tell us a little bit about Dot Brands. Give I guess our listeners a little sort of brief explanation of what you guys do and what your focus is.
Sure, we are a national supply chain company that really allows brands to get their products moved around the country with a 2 to 4 day lead time, anywhere and really in any channel. So we're in food service as well as retail. We're in vending. We're in really all the different channels where food is sold.
And being in all those channels, which is maybe the channel that you're maybe seeing the fastest growth or sort of the quickest development?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that food service is really the majority of our business. It's about 70% of our overall sales, and really that's the area where we see the fastest growth right now. I would tell you that a lot of these brands get started in retail, and then those retail consumers want those same products when they go out to eat or when they go to their coffee shop. And so a lot of the brands are reacting to that and then trying to figure out how to make that work, because it's a whole different story going to a grocery store than it is going to a coffee shop in terms of the scale. And so a lot of those brands have a hard time figuring out how to make the transition from selling grocery into selling into food service.
Well, I mean, how does one make that transition? How do brands sort of get that win in food service?
Yeah, well, I would tell you that it starts really with the product. They have to have a product that's unique and has a differentiating feature to it. If it's a me too, it's really hard to break through. And a lot of food service also has the challenge of the beverage contracts that the large soda guys have. And so how do I have a format within a store where I can be a grab-and-go item that maybe isn't a fountain drink sort of thing? So I think that making sure that you have a format that's deliverable when it comes to like a restaurant or a cafe or a coffee shop is really important.
I imagine, too, you guys have to sort of pay attention to these outlets as well to find the right sort of places to stock those products. I mean, do you, what are some of the food service outlets that you're seeing some growth in as well?
Yeah, I would tell you that the casual quick serve, the Mod Pizzas and the Chipotles and people like that of the world are really where a lot of these products reside right now, because they have a clientele that is going into these places for the nutritional benefits that are on the menu, and then they look and they see, soft drink, fountain drinks, and so they're trying to. A lot of these restaurant chains are really trying to figure out what other functional beverages they can put in that appeal to that same consumer that's in their restaurant in the first place.
Absolutely. And talking about getting that right format, I mean, like, are you seeing sort of developments or innovations in terms of packaging or different things that are sort of better suited to be in food service?
I would tell you that is true. A big challenge right now is the cold chain. So a product that has to be refrigerated all the way through the system, and a kombucha as an example, would be a product that a lot of restaurant chains would like to carry, but operationally it's difficult to make that work, whether it's at the store level where they have to refrigerate it, or it's just in the supply chain. And so we're seeing a big interest in refrigerated products within our offering, kombucha being a large piece of that. Other categories like oat milk and almond milk that are dairy substitutes are also really popular right now.
And talk a little bit about vending. I mean, we saw a little bit, I think, yesterday, sort of talking about the history of vending and people doing some disruptive things with vending machines. Right. What are some of the innovations on that front? Because it seems like that's an area we've definitely seen pivot towards that healthier, better for you kind of set.
Yeah, I would tell you that, a lot of the vending business that's out there right now, it's really driven towards, the traditional types of products. And so it really gets back to what sort of format they're going into. So some of the vending people that we sell to end up going into places like the airports, small format places like that where there's either a carved out space for a cooler, or there's a chest you can reach in and grab something. It's really hasn't made its way into a Coke machine, if you will, at this point. It's really more creative ways to get products close by. A lot of the vending type supply chain companies work with college and university right now. And so there's a big push there as well to have functional, better for you products.
And, working with brands in food service, when is the right time to consider that? I mean, should brands consider launching in food service? Some do.
Right.
Should others? When is the do you recommend, I guess?
Yeah, I would say once you really have scale, I don't think it really depends on what channel you're in already. I think it's really, do you have a sales organization that's ready for it? Do you have brokers that are dedicated to food service? Do you have a price list that is national in scope that can allow you to sell that product? Do you have a supply chain that can get small quantities to everywhere from Seattle to Miami and everywhere in between? When you're dealing with, pallet quantities or lower on the order size, how are you going to handle that? And so really, regardless of channel, those things have to be thought through really even before somebody's ready to be a brand for us.
Well, I guess, what other maybe, categories or, things you're sort of looking at, or sort of what are some areas that you expect to sort of develop over the next year?
Yeah, I really like the collagen water that was talked about earlier today. I think that some of those types of products that are really a little bit early for food service in particular, and even in some parts of the retail world, I think innovation is really what our customers are looking for. They want us to be able to find it before they do, so that when they're ready, they know where to get it, hopefully from us. But it's really, a lot of different temperature controlled. The kombuchas, I think, are really a big opportunity in food service that hasn't really had the runway yet. It's getting there, but we're national with a couple of the major brands, and we see nothing but upside in that area.
What about fountains too? I mean, you mentioned it earlier, and that's sort of, I feel like, forgotten a little bit in all this, and sort of maybe people maybe view it as a little bit archaic, maybe. But fountains still a major, revenue provider, and sort of, what developments are going on in that area? Yeah,
I would tell you that we've got a couple brands that have gone into this fast casual where they're not actually in the fountain machine, but there's a clear container of their product right next to the machine. And so, in a lot of these beverage contracts, they allow for other products, one or two or three maybe, to be present along with the fountain machine in that contract. And so operators are getting creative on how they can continue to offer, a very important part of their offering, which is that fountain machine, but also have better for you products right next to it that really speak more to their customer.
Yeah, it seems like maybe you take it out of the context of that fountain machine. It gives it sort of a different frame of reference and a different sort of personality.
I would agree, and it's typically in a clear container, and it's bubbling or it's doing something interesting, and they're unique flavors. And so when you look at those types of formats, it really is more brand consistent with what's on their menu. When you walk into fast casual and you see all the healthy options, it's really refreshing then to see a brand over near the fountain that's got a product that speaks to that same consumer.
For sure. It seems like it's a cohesive thing that they're really presenting to consumers when they walk in the store.
Yeah, so I think if you don't have it, it's really a disconnect on your brand as that restaurant. We offer gluten-free and organic and all these other things, and then we give you very limited choices. Spindrift has done a good job. We do a lot of business with them. They've gotten into some of these fast casual type formats, and the product really resonates there. And it's one of the better products we think that's out there, and they've done a great job with it. And we see the sales going up on that all the time.
Great. Well, Rod, it was great having you on the live stream. I can't wait to talk again and see how things are developing a little bit down the line. But we're going to send it on back to the to the main stage, I should say. I just want to give a quick thank you to our live stream sponsors, Zuckerman, Honickman, and up next is the first round of New Beverage Showdown Finals. Don't miss it.